to everyone. Say hello to everyone quickly. Cool. Okay, I'm going live now. I'm going to speak to you just now, okay? Just now. So we're back on a Friday afternoon, and this Friday afternoon, the Digital Dental Society of South Africa is actually taking you to South Beach, Miami. So Mark's already there. I mean, he's already set up. He's already getting going with it. But on the other side of it, we have the privilege of having a very important guest with us this evening. I've really been looking forward to having this discussion, to having him with us, Ralph George, the CEO, co-founder of the DSD app. And we're gonna go into discussion around the application and how it works, and we're going to show you a little workflow through the application. But before we get into that, there's just one or two comments that I want to make. Firstly, when COVID-19 was upon us, from the outset, I said, crisis is a shortcut to evolution. And everything that we were planning on prior to the crisis, everything that we had implemented, all our workflows, all our efficiencies, all our strategies, for me, I firmly believe that coming out of this crisis, we would see a leapfrog in those technologies, and we would see a greater uptake of those technologies. And the very reason being that through the time of crisis, everyone looks deep. Everyone starts asking really important questions. Why do we do what we do? How do we do what we do? How can we make what we do more efficient, more productive, more repeatable? And how can we add value into our workflows to get it to a point that we're creating something, and we're creating something that's unique and special? And at the end of the day, that's why I do dentistry, and that's why most of us do dentistry, and we're enthralled, and we're completely passionate, and we're taken back by everything that we can possibly achieve. So, in my organization, I was very much, over the years, we brought in so many different technological platforms. We brought in so many different workflows. And it got to a point that there were so many different systems. And in my mind, all I wanted to do was, I wanted to take a sabbatical, switch off, start from scratch, and get all these processes, get all the systems, get all the protocols, and get everything aligned. And I never had that opportunity. And COVID-19 came upon us. And guess what? I took all the opportunity I possibly could take out of it. I think I worked harder through that time than I ever did. And I learned things, and I became very conscious of things that I wouldn't ordinarily do. And one of the things was engaging on a digital platform. So before I carry on any further with this, I want to hand over to Ralph. If I try and do his introduction, I'm almost guaranteed that I'm going to miss bits and pieces along the line. So I think to do it justice, I'm going to hand over to Ralph. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself. He's going to tell us about how he got involved with the application. And then the conversation is going to unfold. We're going to talk a little bit about deep learning, machine learning, artificial intelligence, how all these concepts have developed around us, how a lot of these concepts are what we use every day, and now we're bringing it into our workflows, and even more exciting, into the DSD app. So, Ralph, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for the invitation, Sam. Thanks, Mark. So I'm going to introduce myself I try to keep it short. My name is Ralph George, and I'm the founder and the CEO of the DSD app. I'm not a technician, and I'm not a dentist. My history is I tried to reinvent myself every decade. So in my 20s, I was a musician. In my 30s, I was an author. I wrote books. And I just realized in my 30s that something is missing. So I started to study a lot of different things. So I got a Master of Science in London. I got a Master of creative arts in London. I got international project management and business development certificates and all this stuff. And then in my 40s, I started to be an entrepreneur. One of the technologies that I developed, because by chance, my brother worked for our dear friend Henriette Lerner, right? And he learned the keynotes for planning smiles and doing smiles. And by chance, he was complaining about how time consuming that is. So I developed a technology that was so different than anything else on the market. Based on facial analysis, based on artificial intelligence, based on so many innovative technologies. And I showed this, the technology that I have created, I showed to Christian. I had the chance to meet Christian at IDS 2017, and he was also very, very interested in this kind of new way, new perspective to see things. So we decided to start and to build something together. So Christian gave me the expertise in dentistry, from the dentist, from the technician side. I built a technology that was at the beginning, it was it was innovative. We had a lot of interesting and new stuff, but during the time when I started teaching the technology and teaching smile design and traveling around the world, can I share my screen, please? I just want to
go for it.
Yeah, so perfect. So 2018, 2019, I started traveling around the world and organized courses and teaching dentists how to do the smile designs using the DSD app, right? And on my travels, I just realized that one of the most important things is to connect to the user, of course, and to get the feedback, to see the user experience, user expectation, right? And one of the, even if the first version of the DSD app, creating smiles, was so different and so innovative compared to anything else on the market, I just realized that technology needs to do more for us. So because time, at the end of the day, time is our most valuable asset. We need time for our families. We need time for our business. We need time for ourselves. So, and of course, on the other side, you have so many studies, you have so much knowledge that you need to be up to date every time. So instead of going on in the direction of manual planning the smiles, manual analysis of faces and all the stuff, I created technologies to integrate all this knowledge, all these studies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all the stuff in a very simple to use tool that just works for us and helps us to follow a very safe structure so that we cannot make mistakes when we go and plan smiles for our patients. And during the crisis, of course, we had so much very, very intense time. So I went back because I didn't travel anymore. We didn't have the courses. We did everything online. I have a very great team that just supports me now with all the online education and all the courses and all the stuff. So I had time to step back and again work very intensively on technology. And the first version that I have created for smile design is on the iPhone. And it is so different than anything that you saw before, because it's a complete new vision, a complete new structure of creating smiles. When everybody who made a smile design in the past knows that we started analyzing the face, putting lines on the face, creating the smile frame, adjusting shapes over the face, and then creating the smile. But this kind of designing a smile actually activates the technical brain. When we go deep into the technical details, we don't see the harmony, because we don't have harmony. We have lines, we have shapes, we have smile frames, we have proportions.
Sorry, Ralph, can I just stop you there? I want you to talk a little bit more. I want you to talk a little bit more about the creative brain and the technical brain in terms of designing these smiles. How, from an analog perspective, how we learn to actually mold, how we learn to design, and from a technical perspective, how that differs and how the technology is there to fill that gap. I just want you to spend a little bit more time unfolding that.
Yeah, sure.
Can I just jump in just quickly and say something before you get in there? And
Mark, please.
Thank you so much for that's fine. Thank you, and I don't want to hog this space because I want you to speak this whole hour because we have so much to learn. But I just want to say that you know, I've also been on this whole journey with DSD, and I bought into it a long time ago. I ran the first course in Johannesburg in South Africa for DSD about honestly 8 years ago, and the first thing that I was so frustrated about was that the concept was amazing because dentists inherently, we have an inability to communicate, and most of our patients don't accept treatment, or they don't understand the treatment because they can't visualize it. And even with our teams and the laboratories, you know, we had a really big problem in communication. And so when DSD came along, and this is exactly the missing part, but the biggest problem was that we had to rely on obviously Keynote and PowerPoint for like about 4 years. And honestly, I nearly gave up because it was impossible. And then, you know, you came along, and thank you so much for this. You saved my life, honestly. And I think that the communication is a big thing, you know, about how we understand the cases that we treat on a day-to-day basis. And at this point, I just also want to say, because I think it's super important that a lot of dentists have a misbelief about DSD and about smile design, that they think really it's just for cases for veneers, you know, just for these these cases where we're doing 10 veneers. But DSD and smile design is for every restorative and implant and perio and ortho and every case that we do where there's any small change to the teeth and the face. So I think this is really a thing that over the years dentists have not understood, the importance of DSD and the importance of communication in the team. And so I'm super excited for you to carry on and show what you've developed now.
Yeah, okay. So what happens with the brain when we start designing smiles and we start with analyzing the face, right? Because DSD is a smile-driven, facial-driven smile design. And we start to analyze the face by putting lines on the face: intrapupillar line, commissural line, midline. And then we try to order all these straight lines in the face, right? And then to create a smile that matches the face. Everything started with a very interesting study from Christian Coachman, Bruno Pereira, Kyle Stanley, and Eduardo Mann, the facial flow, right? And the facial flow is actually a very interesting way to see faces and to understand faces are not symmetric entities. When we don't have symmetric entities and we put straight lines and we try to force symmetry, we try to force straight line into faces, it's very hard to get the harmonic result at the end because we are so focused on all these technical details of the face. And the facial flow concept just show us that the midline of the face, it's not a midline, it's a curve created by the glabella, tip of the nose, philtrum, and chin. And these 4 points, in the most cases, creates a curve. They create a curve, and this curve shows you the facial flow of the patient. Now, if you design a smile that is symmetric and that follows straight lines, if these straight lines are crossing in the face, or the angulation of the new smile creates crossing lines in the face, it creates a visual tension in the face. And then when we analyze the final smile planned on the keynote or whatever it is, when we analyze, there is a feeling of discomfort because we see something that it's not matching in the face. We missed the harmony. We were focused on straight lines, on midline and all the stuff. That was the beginning of an idea. What if we have a technology that analyzes the lines, analyzes the face, and don't show us or doesn't show us in the first step all these technical details? What if we have a technology to create a smile based on all this knowledge and studies, and we get a result where we can focus on the harmony, and we design, we move the smile, we move the teeth, smile curves, midline, dominance, based on the harmony, based on the emotional reaction that we see on the picture, and then we go to the technical part and we analyze our smiles. And I just realized by testing really thousands of cases, I just realized when you focus first on the harmony of the face and you get the most beautiful smile, and you do the same smile, starting with the technical smile design, where you put the smile frame first, and then you put the shapes, and then you put the proportions. These two versions of smile designs are completely different. Completely different, and not necessarily, the second smile is not necessarily harmonic. Why? Because as soon as you see lines, as soon as you see the outlines, the shapes, your technical brain is activated. And you think immediately, is that possible? Do I need to move to shift the dental midline? What should I do? Is the bite correct? Too many questions that just shifts the focus from the harmony. So now we do the backwards engineering. Well, let's create the most beautiful smile in harmony with the face. Let's have a super easy to use tool to discuss with the patient the harmony, to discuss with the patient the idea of an aesthetic treatment, and that needs to be done in 20 seconds. And then we go to the technical and the technical analysis of the smile design, and then we can go deep into details after the patient is ready to hear the technical details. Because if we work half an hour and we create a beautiful smile and the patient says, I'm not ready for it, the half an hour is gone. So we need also, as businessmen and as managing the dental office, right? We need to optimize also internal processes. Because right now we see when a crisis comes or when something happens, the best organized or the better organized we are in our time and our procedures, the safe we can manage the crisis. So let me show you a case, because I think that's the most easiest way to understand what I mean. So I'm gonna reflect my.
So just can I ask you while you're doing that? So
yeah,
I mean, I think that for a lot of us, we've been fortunate to be exposed to the app on the iPad, and so obviously this is a completely new version. So the question is it available? Is it how do we get hold of it? How do we start using the phone app?
Sure. This version of the smile simulation with AI is part of a bigger release that we're gonna have in summer, fall. The new update or the new upgrade of the DSD app is gonna be actually a platform. So we don't have the iPad or the iPhone, we have everything. We have the same functionalities, 2D, 3D design on the iPhone, on the iPad, and on the Mac, on the desktop, right? So you can work on your projects no matter on what platform. You have exactly the same project on your iPhone or on the iPad. So you are gonna have these functionalities on all platforms, but much more than that. AI smile simulation, it's the quickest way to motivate the patient. It's the quickest way to open the discussion for the aesthetic treatment. Then you can go to the technical smile design, where you can change every single shape and create the plan for the lab or the final smile design. And based on the technical smile design, we're going to create automatically the 3D mock-up, because we need a solution like this. The patient is here, the patient is motivated, we create something special, and we create this beautiful emotional experience for the patient. Now, everything is automated, and everything is based on automation as much as possible, but also on AI, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We don't need every time to reinvent a smile design. We need options like we already have in the iPad, but much more automated, to be able to change templates and to compare different, for example, different centrals or different laterals without redesigning. So I just switch laterals, switch canines, and I compare the harmony with the face instead of redesigning the canines for 15 minutes and then to have a second version, right? And also for the mock-up, that's going to be super interesting, because you have the design done once. It means everything what we have is everything from the design parameters are there, and then we just change the designs. And then suddenly also the patient can say, oh, I like these centrals much better than the other ones. And he's automatically the co-designer of his smile, and he accepts everything much, much better, because he's part of the process.
No, and let me tell you that I think that one of the biggest mistakes of our profession, if we're talking about co-designing smiles, is the kind of thought as dentists we had that our patients didn't have enough knowledge or dental IQ to be involved in this process. But the reality is that it's a visual process, and really, I'm not sure that you need a very scientific degree to become that person who is integrated into the emotional journey that we're talking about, because most dentists only find out that their patients have the ability to assess a smile when it's already bonded to their teeth.
Yeah. And the biggest controversy in dentistry is, how do I sell the case to the patient? You don't sell anything. No. You just show in a visual way, that's you. This is the improvement that we can create for you. And everybody understands how important it is, because I did this exercise on myself. We were in Madrid at the residency, and by chance I got the design and the mock-up. And time, stress, I grind my teeth like crazy, so they were damaged, grinding every night. And then I see this, I see the mock-up in my mouth. It was the version of me 10 years younger. I couldn't get this image out of my head. The second my wife told, oh, you look 10 years younger, what is the next idea in your head? Sell the car. I'm going to get veneers, right? So there is no way back from that, because it's your emotional reaction on something that you've lost.
Yeah. And here's the other thing that's super important is, that in the past, we had some softwares that, first of all, that we could create these smile simulations, but they were totally unrealistic in terms of the visualization of how they looked. So patients couldn't understand what it really was that they were getting. And secondly, the importance that we have now with the DSD, with the app that I've used for sure, is that, and I've done so many cases now that when I design something, that I know that this is something that is 100% achievable for the planning center or the laboratory, to fabricate whatever it is. So I'm not selling something that I can't deliver, because also we're using the natural algorithms, we're using the shapes that we're using in the 3D planning. So it's not like we're wasting any time with a 2D design. We're taking 2D and we're replicating it into 3D and then back into the mouth. And this really is a game changer, in my opinion.
That's such an important point, Mark. Thank you so much for bringing that, because what we also created in the iPad version. So if you can, but I'm gonna afterwards I'm gonna reflect my iPad and I'm gonna show you. What should I do? Let me close like this. Oh, I have too many windows open. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to show you afterwards the perfect translation between 2D and 3D and why that's so important. So let me do something so that we can see better. Okay. So now let me show you what the AI does and how we create the harmony in the face of the patient. So that's the iPhone version. So I just select a picture of the patient, and I have here, favorites. I have this patient, right? And we see here a lot of issues. So first step, the AI calculates for me based on the facial analysis and facial proportions, calculates for me the smile frame. And now I see the smile frame is set in the middle of the chin, and the proportions of my patients are a little bit not ideal, right? Because the smile frame follows the red proportions, and based on the facial proportions, I see that I do have a different proportion. Okay, so now I'm gonna set this midline. I'm gonna keep the dental midline. The smile curve is good enough, and I'm gonna change here the proportions because this patient doesn't match the 100% height, 80% width of the centrals. And my smile frame is done. Sometimes I do have cases where I don't need to do anything. It's just the smile frame matches, the patient has the optimal proportions, so everything is good. I just go to the next screen. Now in the next screen, the AI creates for me the smile.
So hang on there, Ralph. That just took like under a minute.
Sure, yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, for those of us that have been designing this and started over this journey, like Mark says, to work out facial midline, smile line, incisor line, interpupillary line, all those sort of things, and still you're off the mark.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So where is my, I lost my, thank you. So
we lost George, Ralph. He's gone.
That's really unbelievable in terms of how much you can create, and it's all artificial intelligence driven. I mean, it really is. It's amazing.
Okay, I just I clicked the wrong button, so I'm back.
That's right. That's great.
So now I do have. Usually, that's really a matter of seconds. But now let's go to the smile harmony, right? Here, I do have the options to just exchange. You see, I just have several templates and I just swipe through the templates and I get different results. That's the first step. Now I'm gonna take a look at my design and focus on harmony. And it's interesting because we have really unique features that creates the smile in such an special way, and it's visual. It's the visual communication. So let's go with the first option, dominance. I can create dominant or monotonic smiles with one slider. If I move the slider up and down, I can shorten the laterals, or I can bring the laterals on the smile curve, right? The same height as the centrals. Now, just imagine you have a young, female, beautiful patient. And you can, with a slider, compare the dominance, the harmony of the face with just changing the dominance. And your patient is gonna see immediately and feel immediately, oh, I like the dominant smile. I like little less dominance, or the monotonic smile. That's something that we can do it in 1 second with the dominant slider. Now, I reduce the dominance for our patient because that's a very young dynamic smile, right? The dominance, the centrals are dominant, the lateral are short. So I'm gonna bring the laterals on the same smile curve. And for him, I think the monotonic smile looks better. That's good. I'm okay with it. The second slider, I'm gonna take a look at his face and I'm gonna move the midline. Dental midline, facial midline. And I think this midline is good. The third option is the occlusal plane. We never had in a 2D tool the option to change the occlusal plane. So we designed, but we needed to know how to move the shapes in the 2D space to simulate the occlusal plane. Now, here is my occlusal plane. Look. Can you see it?
Yep.
So now I change the occlusal plane and I try to find the best position, the best angulation.
So can you move the occlusal plane anterior, posterior, and also left and right? I mean, it's three-dimensional, the occlusal plane, or just anterior, posterior?
Yeah, it's just anterior, posterior. Yeah,
Anterior.
it's just
Okay,
like this.
that's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
But because that's the motivational, that's the harmony, that's the first step,
Sure.
right? And then we have the smile curve. You see, I can change the smile curve, and sometimes I have, for example, I have a patient with a very round lip, and then I just adjust my smile curve to the lip. Of course, I have the option to change colors, right? To adjust the colors a little bit more yellow. I have the brightness. And Mark, that's gonna be something that you are gonna love, because now it's so easy. You click on the link, and now you can change only the posteriors. Look at this. It's important to darken the posteriors just to create the illusion of the photo of the picture. The posteriors are in the mouth, in the shadow, so they are darker than the centrals. The result looks natural. It's one slider. Now, let's say I like the harmony of this smile. We can do it in 1 or 2 minutes, right? I can discuss with the patient, that's done. If it takes me 5 or 10 minutes with the iPad app, where I do everything manually, or half an hour with the keynote, you know, but now I just have a tool to go and to create beauty, to create harmony. Now let's go to the smile frame, because the smile frame, if the patient is open for the discussion after 2 minutes, we can go to the smile frame and we can go into the technical discussion. Let's see what we have. Smile frame. It's all so the lab documentation is already done automatically by the app. Now I have my patient, and I can tell my patient, we do have a lot to do. So that's my treatment proposal. We have a different proportion of centrals, laterals, and canines, right? If you want and like this harmony, I can show the harmony, right? If you like this harmony of the face, we need to widen or to redesign the width of your teeth, right? Not even the length, of course. We have the smile curve. Now it's motivational. We don't have the gingival curve because the lip of the patient covers the teeth, right? So the discussion is more motivational. You can use also the STL over the picture in the iPhone. You take the intraoral scan, you calibrate the intraoral scan with 3 points over the picture, and then you see the intraoral scan over that picture. You can then see the gingival margins, and you have another level of technical discussion with your patient, gingivectomies, crown lengthenings, and all the stuff. So what do we have here? We have the height, of course, so I can increase or decrease the height, you see? And I can, of course, adjust the proportion. My patient says, no, I'm gonna keep the proportions the way they are. Okay, so let's go with your existing proportions. Your existing proportion is 76% from the height, right? It's not 80, it's not 100 to 80, but my patient doesn't want any changes, just veneers. Okay, good. Now, a very cool and powerful feature, and I'm sure that was one missing piece, Mark. My anteriors are fine, but I don't have any option to change the buccal corridor in a very simple way. So I need to go to the smile frame and design every single posterior so that I adjust the buccal corridor. Now we have the slider, buccal corridor. Look what happens. The anteriors stay the same way, and I adjust the buccal corridor.
Yeah, that was always time consuming, but really important to show the patient, that they must understand whether, because a lot of patients think that if they come in and they change 2 teeth or 4 teeth, that it's going to make a difference. But sometimes they have to understand it's a full arch, or, these things are really important to communicate. And that's my opinion. Again, going back to the first thing I said, was that as dentists, and all of us today, if you look at every dentist's website or their card, they're all cosmetic dentists. That's all of us. That's what we are. We love to say, but this is not the reality, in my opinion, in dentistry. Is that some of us really understand the complexities of these things, or the demands that our patients are providing us, and some don't. But with a tool like this, it's really amazing to communicate, that we can show them the difference between 4 veneers, 6 veneers, 8 veneers, whatever it is, or orthodontics, or whatever the treatment plan involves.
Yeah. And then you have, of course, the option to, to reduce the number of teeth. If your patient says, no, I just want 6 or 4, you just go and you change the number of teeth. And then we have the most powerful tool, the before and after. So the before and after, we go to the next screen. I just click now on the arrows, and the before and after is automatically, it goes automatically to the right and to the left. I just click. And I can share this picture. And let me show you what happens when I click share. So now I go to my gallery, and here we go. Okay. I have the before and after picture. I send this picture to my patient. On email or text message or WhatsApp, whatever it is. Okay, so let me go now and just without explanation, let me just go through the process so that you see how easy and how fast it is. I have my patient, smile simulation. I see the smile frame. I correct the smile curve a little bit, and I think that's fine. And I create my smile. Let's see if it's gonna be quicker than 20 seconds. And here we go. Now I ask my patient, should we talk about anesthetic treatment, right? It's like this. And of course, we have all the tools now to go and do stuff. I want to show you something because that's also something very interesting. That's a test version of mine. So that what I have here installed is a test version of mine. But you have also the Jan Haito shapes, right? And the Jan Haito shapes are a little bit different, the centrals and the laterals and all the stuff. So now I'm going to show you the shapes. It's not done yet. So this feature is going to be finished over the weekend, but I want to show you something very interesting because the AI recognizes the age of the patient, and we have group of shapes that are linked to the age of the patient. And of course, then we can select, for example, let's say you get the AI and the AI tells you your patient is young. Okay, so we have a set of templates, young, and then we have square, triangle, and round. And then you select the preference, round, but for round, let's say you have 4 or 5 templates from Jan Haito for round shapes. And now when we generate the shapes, when we generate the smile, we generate the smile not with one group of teeth, but with all of them. And then we propose you different smile designs based on the facial proportions. And then it's like this. But you see that different templates have different colors. That's why it's I just showed like the technology until I finalize all the templates here. You see? So you just click generate, and then you get different designs like this. And that's super powerful because eventually the AI is gonna find for you a combination that matches with the facial harmony.
So Ralph, how far away is that?
2 days. We're gonna finish everything over the weekend, and then next week we start with the releasing process. Yeah.
I'm so glad that they haven't opened the nightclubs and everything behind me in Miami, because otherwise it wouldn't be here on Monday.
yeah. So we will be. So let me see. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Do you see my presentation? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to go back to a very important point that you I wanted to show on the. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to connect my iPad and I'm going to show you the very important point of the 2D, 3D translation.
And one question doing that, Ralph, at what point do you upload your STL? So STLs you'll upload after the 2D is done and you doing your final 3D design.
Yeah, but you can add your STL also here from direct link from Itero, or you can upload, for example, an STL. This version that I have, just let me see.
I think you can do it exactly like you did in the app. So you can do it. You can either do a smile simulation just with the face and no STL, or with So I think you make the decision as to what you want to do. I think that if a patient is undecided, then sometimes, you don't want to scan up and lower arches and, intraoral scan, and you just go straight to that. And it's a small point, but it's important, I think, that you have the ability to design under the lip as well as what you're seeing, because ultimately that's for us as dentists what we need to understand. The funny thing is that the goalposts have shifted, because obviously, and this is the crazy thing that, and I'm not cynical, it's the reality in dentistry is that every dentist is a cosmetic dentist. But that there are a lot of, still today it's the norm that cases are done, aesthetic cases are done with no planning, no mock-ups, just preparation and veneers, fabrication. So for me, that's not possible. And for you also, Sam, that's something we've been doing differently.
Look, it's totally not possible. No, sorry, Mark, carry on.
I was just going to say, so for us, the mock-up was really the important phase where we made the final aesthetic decisions. But, you know, the accuracy of the app is so good that we don't need to now go to the mock-up for the final, but we can really do all the planning, you know, in this phase, which really saves us so much time, so that when we go to the mock-up, we know for sure that this mock-up is what the patient and we want to see. It's just like a tool or a process now that backs up all the planning that we've done.
Absolutely. Mark, there's a comment I want to make around that. So, you know, I like looking at everything in context, and you look at our industry, and I say this over and over again. You know, at the end of the day, we're a service level industry, and the practices that have adopted technology have created a hybrid around the service level industry. And a few points. One of the points that Ralph brought out, at the end of the day, time. Time is the greatest commodity. It's of the highest value to us, you know. And what we do is inseparable. You know, when we're seeing that patient, we're treating that patient, that's it. We need to maximize the time that we spend. And we also want to make everything we do tangible, because all these factors, the tangibility, the quality control, the separability, the inseparability, all of it translates to one thing, that it facilitates us being able to tap into the patient making an emotional decision, like Ralph described. You know, with his, you see the whole emotional aspect, you see the thing, it becomes tangible, and based on that, you can then make a decision, and you can create the right degree of value around it. So, you know, for me, up to now, you still, and I think that's a very important point to highlight in terms of the ability of this app. Up till now, we would go through the whole process. I mean, we scan the patient, STL file, photo, dynamic, static records, CBCT in a lot of cases, and then we'll plan it in the background, send it to the planning center, it comes back, we do the mock-up, and it's only at that point. And the reason we're doing the mock-up is because we want that image. We want that before and after. We want to show the patient exactly what we can get out. But I mean, what you've just showed us, Ralph, I mean, that's a complete and total game changer. To get that degree in such a short time period, and then from there, you know, it literally, the next step is then you can start getting really involved, and you can start thinking about, you know, the diagnostic mock-up or the motivational mock-up or whatever it is. And often we had to go through that whole process before we could cross that bridge. I think what we created there is absolutely remarkable, and I think that for somebody that's new to cosmetic dentistry or new to planning cosmetic cases, it is so easy to actually adopt and so easy to use. And guys like us that have been involved with it for almost a decade, or from the time I started, I've been doing cosmetic work, involved with planning for the last 7 or 8 years or whatever it is. I mean, we really see the value. We really appreciate how much the technology and how much artificial intelligence has actually just facilitated this process. So, I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Thanks. So now, one point that Mark mentioned before, I'm going to show you a complete case, and because this case has, let me go from the beginning. Just to show you how, oops, yeah, okay. So reset case. So let me show you from the beginning, what can we do with the complete documentation, right? So we have 3 pictures, we have an intraoral scan, and we have a facial scan, right? That can be done, it's the patient documentation in the app, and as soon as you start the project, the app assigns automatically all the files needed for that specific project. What I want to, as a preview, the new platform is going to have lower design, function, and all this stuff automatically done, so that it is very easy for you to just design, you know, and the technical details are gonna be managed by the system. Now, so oh, that's the wrong one. Let me see. Yeah, that's the wrong one. Okay, so that's a done case, and it was always the point. I do have the keynote, I do have the outlines, I do have the smile simulation, right? How can I transform this into reality? How can I make sure that that's gonna be exactly what the patient expects? Because the patient expects the 3D smile design done exactly in the same way as the 2D. So now, we have, I'm not going to explain now the 3D smile design because it's actually it's super simple. It looks maybe a little bit more, it's more work, right? But that's also going to be automated. Actually, what we do is we superimpose the pictures with the intraoral scan, and we create references on the face to design our 3D. So no matter how many pictures we have, we do the same. We take the picture, we superimpose the STL. This part is the occlusal curve that we need to define before we go to the 3D smile design. And I was testing, and I was asking myself what's gonna be the best solution for the automatic 3D smile design. And I'm gonna let everyone to make the decision where to place the occlusal curve, because that's key. That's the key of the 3D smile design. You are gonna decide where to put the occlusal curve, and then we take it from there and we automate all the stuff. Now we have the 2D smile design. We have the smile frame, right? We have the smile frame. We select the libraries, and we adjust the libraries to the face, and we take a look at full screen.
Sorry, Rob. Just one thing there. In terms of the libraries, there's been a big upgrade in terms of the libraries that are available. Am I right? With the new app.
Yeah. So we have new Jan Haito templates, and then we have the smile donators. The smile donators that you can use when you click on the name, you see who donated the smile. So we have the 2D and 3D templates. They are linked in the system together. So if you go for the smile simulation with, for example, Jan Haito F8, right? You have the 3D templates F8 automatically selected in the 3D smile design. So everything is linked and automated. It's gonna be, but much more. Now we finalize the smile. We put the smile in the mouth of the patient, and we have our slider before and after. That's okay. And now I go to the 3D smile design. And in the 3D smile design, I have first 4 views. If I move a tooth and I change, for example, the centrals, if I have all the references from all angles, I place the central once, I rotate the central in the right direction, everything is done. I don't need to check every single view. It's in a different screen, you know? So, and so the idea of the smile design actually is pretty easy, and what we do is we have the picture, we have the model, and we have our outlines. If I did the design, the 2D smile simulation properly and accurately, now I just need to bring the 3D templates and match them with the outlines. It's a super easy game, right? I need to make sure the size is correct, the position is correct, the size, and I follow my outlines. If I follow my outlines as accurate as possible, then my smile design is done. So let's go to the occlusal view. I make sure that my teeth are accurately placed on the occlusal curve. And now what I do is I put the smile design in the mouth of the patient, and I take a look at the harmony of the smile of the 3D project now, not the smile simulation, the 3D project, right? And now I see everything what is important for me to see, because that's a 3D project. That's gonna be the mock-up. If I take a picture of the patient with the mock-up, it's gonna look exactly like this. Also, 12 o'clock picture to define the wet, dry border line. I do have my reference here, right? I can turn, just hide the reference. Now I have my view that I can analyze. If my teeth are in the right angulation and in the right size and everything what I have here, then I know it is correctly done. And I have the fourth view. The fourth view is a free view, so that I can turn, I can analyze everything what I have. So the three first views, they're fixed. I cannot turn, I cannot change the angulation because it's a picture, right? And what I have here is the facial 3D scan. And now I can analyze my smile with the 3D facial scan. The facial scans are gonna be better and better. You can do the facial scans with the iPhone, with the DSD app on the iPhone, but the quality to some point is gonna be so good, we're not gonna use pictures anymore. If this facial scan is not distorted anymore, and you have, for example, from Bellus, you have the rig with 6 cameras, it takes you 1 second rested, boom, second facial scan, full smile, click, done. And then we don't need the pictures anymore to design the 3D smile, because then I can turn and I can analyze the smile. And now one of the unique and innovative solutions that I developed was, what if my patient doesn't like the central? The central, let's say central.
Because by this stage you've invested a little bit more time, so it's nice to have the option that you can still change, you know, 1 or 2 things, kind of from a shape point of view.
Exactly.
That's great. That's crazy important.
So now I'm not sure about the centrals or the canine. It's too deep. I don't know. So let's go and zoom in. Okay. So you don't like the canine? No. I'm gonna select the canine, and I'm gonna mix and select a different template. And you see the size, design, angulation stays the same. And now I can compare different canines. Oh, this one, I like it, this one more. Okay, what is the template? M5. Okay, let's go to the next side, and I'm gonna select M5 here also. Here we go. Do you like it more? Not sure. Okay, let's reduce a little bit the size.
Mark, that's better than designing on Nemo.
No, it's I've done quite a few 3D designs, and I've surprised. I've tried Nemo, and and on the app, I promise you, Nemo I gave up. But on the app, I still need to practice a little bit. But honestly, I can do a 3D smile design really quite quickly.
You are gonna love the new version, because the new version 3D smile design is gonna be the same way I showed you 2D. That's the
that's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, you know? That's crazy. And you know, the issue, and listen, it doesn't really matter who takes control of designing, but you know, if we're doing this sort of dentistry for our patients, someone needs to take control. In the past, it's crazy that the labs felt that they were obligated to be the people who sort of controlled the design of the 3D, and I think obviously this is not necessarily, and I don't want to take anyone away from the labs, but I think maybe it's a joint project that we have to have some input. But now really it doesn't matter. At least it can be the dentist, it can be the technician, it can be both. And also the patient is involved. You know, I mean, it's honestly, something that I think most dentists are kind of intimidated by design, because they also don't want to invest in cameras and photography, but now we have our phones, we can take the pictures. In all honesty, there is no excuse. That's my opinion.
Yeah. And now we
just one other thing is that how many times this has now become your life, and I'm sure that you're so happy that maybe you're not a dentist, that you're just doing this stuff for us guys, and thank you again. But how many times, because of social media, that you see cases that are put on, that you look at the case and you think, oh my God, if they'd just done some smile design, that case would have been off the charts. They needed to change a few small things. And you know the cases that there's been smile design, and you can see the cases that there's been no smile design. Honestly, for me and you, I'm sure, and Sam, it's crystal clear about the small things that make such a big difference.
Yeah. And now we come to the point that you mentioned before. I did a smile simulation, and now I have to transform this smile simulation into a 3D smile design, into the real deal. I have on the right side the smile simulation. On the left side, I have my patient's picture. When I click on the top, I change the smile design, the 3D smile design with the smile simulation. And now I move the slider. And the smile simulation follows, or the 3D smile design follows exactly the smile simulation. So 3D smile design follows the simulation. And now my patient says, but I don't think that's the same design, right? I have a different feeling. And then you can go and say, no, we have the same shape. We have the same size, the same position. That's the perfect translation between the 2D and the 3D. Right? And that's again case acceptance. That's again case acceptance, because it's no more guessing, but I have the feeling it looks different. Or my technician was a good one, a talented one, and he had a lot of stress with his girlfriend, and the next day he just made the mock-up or whatever it was, right? No, we need to rely on technology. And even the new version, if the new version is going to be a platform, right? So now just imagine your patients, they're going to have a patient app connected to your office through the DSD app. And you do the design, the 2D design, the 3D design, and you share the facial scan with the new design with your patient. Your patient gets a push message. Oh, my dentist sent me something. Let me see. The new design. Okay, I like it, or I don't like it. But suddenly we again optimize the communication. We optimize the communication. We don't need to call the patient back in the office. I'm going to show you the changes that we made, right? Of course, in the first step is super important and super beautiful if you do the changes and you do the mock-up and all the stuff. But now we also need to a little bit adjust to the situation, that maybe virtual consultation are going to be much more powerful, and we're going to save time. And we're going to communicate.
You're right. I'll tell you a quick story, because I know we've done really well. This has been amazing. Is that I had a patient not that long ago, just before lockdown, and she had 2 sets of veneers made that she rejected. Okay, so this is now 10 veneers. Can you imagine how much it cost the dentist and the technician? So she came to me because she had lost confidence, because she had the veneers made, she didn't like them. Luckily, they didn't bond them. And then I said, okay, that's fine. I'm going to do a design for you. I don't know if I'll show you the case one. So I'll do a design for you, just on the app. I did a design for her. She said to me, and now I sent it to her at 9 o'clock in the morning, WhatsApp. I sent it to her. She said, I want the centrals a little bit longer. I want the laterals a little bit like this. And so I said, no problem. I went on my app between the next 2 patients, and I redesigned it quickly, and I sent it to her. She then said, no, okay, that's almost right, but can we just make the canines a little bit like this? I said, no problem. Between the next 2 patients, I just did an adjustment. I sent it to her. And by lunchtime, she said, "That's amazing. I love it. That's exactly what I wanted." You know, and I didn't want to say, did the guy not do DSD for you? Did he not show you anything? Was there no communication? She said, "I love that." And honestly, I took that design to the planning center. We made the veneers exactly like that. She's in love with her teeth.
Yeah.
And that's because she became involved. She could see exactly what she really wanted.
But it's Mark, it's exactly like Christian Coachman says. You need to co-author your smile, exactly as Ralph George put it. You know, patients need to co-author their smile. And it all boils down to the fact that communication is absolutely key, you know? And the more tangible the communication is, I mean, it's a game changer. It really is.
Yeah.
Ralph, how are you doing for time? Is there something else you want to highlight?
Yeah, I would like to show you something that we just here. Okay, so we have a new case report. So do you see my screen? Oops.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, it's
You got it.
So this one, right? Okay. Let me try to go back. My screen just jumped. Okay, now, so here we go. Let me share my screen again. Okay. So we had in Miami this amazing dentist from France, Dr. Imad Gandour. And we did the 4 days of a smile certification course in Miami, and we designed 2D and 3D and all the stuff. And now he made the case, and we did a case report for this beautiful case, and it was really it's a case that is worth showing, and we put this case report on our website because it's so beautiful. So he started with the DSD app smile simulation. That was the initial smile, right? And then based on the facial flow, intraoral scan superimposed over the picture, smile frame outlines, occlusal plane, occlusal view, and the occlusal curve. We have the picture with the intraoral scan superimposed. He defined the smile frame and the outlines, the templates. And here is the smile simulation that he did. Then he went from the smile simulation to the 3D smile design. And he did the 3D smile design in the app. Here we go. Here is the result with the new design. And then he created the mockup. And here we go.
That's spectacular.
And she looks so beautiful. She has this energy in her smile. It's such a different energy, right? She is a beautiful young lady with so much confidence. Just by creating beautiful veneers in harmony with the face, planned with the system step by step. And these are the cases that show us how powerful the visual communication is, how powerful it is to take care of such patients and just create the most beautiful harmonic smile for them that's even possible.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just want to say one thing, and that smile, just by the way, is not by chance. It's by design.
Of course. It's no. That's my vision and my system is just the first step. Then the experience, the expertise of the dentist, of the expertise of the technician. It's much more involved, but I do only the first step, the planning, the visual communication, the idea. Everything else, it's on you guys. So you need to take the tools and make it possible.
Thank you, man. That's amazing.
Ralph, I mean, that's
been amazing.
That's really special. I mean, Mark, once again, what a way to end off the week.
That's how it
really is. So there's a few things I want to highlight that we discussed. First thing that came up, how valuable time is and how important it is for us to actually manage our time, manage our life, do the things that we really want to do. That's the first thing. Secondly, we spoke about communication, how important communication is in today's day and age, how much more tangible we can make our communication. And all of it translates to one thing, it's the trust that we build with the patients. But from our side of it, it's also super important to know, Mark, you say it best. What does Christian say? If you know where you're going, it's going to be easier to get there.
And he says a lot of good things, but
so we spoke about time, we spoke about communication. The other thing that came up is the whole discussion around DSD, and a lot of people see DSD as digital smile design, and I mean it is just so much more. There's implant planning, there's the prosthetic planning, there's the gingival planning. It's pretty much it's ortho. I mean, there's everything. So I think the whole term DSD is quite a misnomer in a lot of ways, because the system is capable of so much more. But I think the one thing to highlight is the fact that we utilize the whole emotional component of the smile to drive the treatment. And I think that's an important thing. And, you put all of this together and you can see how the culmination of technology has brought us to where we are today. We can do these crazy designs on a smartphone. I mean, Ralph, all I can say is you're a genius.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we've got at the lab, we've got digital oral design, we've got Nemo, we've got InLab, we're playing around with 3Shape. And what you've just showed on this little iPhone application, it's absolutely spectacular, but I can see that you understand the whole nature of it. You understand the whole designing of it. The fact that you can move those buccal corridors independent of the anterior segment. The fact that you can play with the occlusal plane. But the highlight for me was the way AI just uses all that information to create those initial flows. I mean, it's absolutely spectacular. So, I'll be honest with you, I never used the app. I used it a couple of times. I still stuck to, my workflow. I take all my information. I then sit down with my technician. We'd start off with the 2D design. Even though we were designing in 3D, everything starts with that 2D design, positioning everything. But let me tell you this, I go back to work on Monday and my workflow changes again. So for my team that's watching, I hope you guys are ready. We're in for another change. I think that was really amazing. And I was very excited about today's webinar because I haven't been an app user. I'm a big DSD protocol and digital workflow and all that sort of thing, but I've never used the app. I've used it a couple of times. So that has convinced me today to actually change my workflow. And there are a few things that you showed me. And I think the biggest thing was that before you go through the whole engagement, you can literally get that 2D and you can get that buy-in or buy-out right from the outset. Like one of the things during COVID is that we launched a whole virtual consultation platform in our clinic. And that has been amazing. And it's amazing on the level that patients want two things. They want to know, number one, can they trust you? And number two, they want to know what it's going to cost to come in for treatment. Two things. And with the virtual consultation platform, we've managed to pretty much ascertain that before we mobilize the patient, before we brought them into the clinic. We're going to take this and we're going to add it into that virtual consultation platform, because suddenly they can send us a picture, we'll show them the design, it will all be done remotely, and then from there, the story unfolds. Yeah. So, I mean, once again, we say this all the time. I mean, if it wasn't for Christian, and if it wasn't for guys like you, I actually can't understand where we would still be sitting in dentistry. And to have all these tools available to us today, it's an absolutely exciting and it's a remarkable time. And the only thing I could say is that if someone isn't using this, they really need to get on top of it. They really do. It's that easy.
So there is a question that I would like to answer right now. The whole system runs on iOS and Mac. It's gonna be on Mac, right? The new update.
Yes.
But we are keep an eye on a very interesting technology, a cloud technology that we're gonna integrate, and you are gonna be able to use the same system in the browser. So if you have a Windows computer, you can use it in the browser. So we try to cover all platforms so that everybody has access to the technology.
That's really great. I just want to check if there was any other question. Mary, was there any other question from your side? I've just got a comment from Spiro. If we listen very carefully and openly to what women especially see and what we want, it might surprise ourselves. They see things in their face that we can't see until they point it out. And that's the reality. Like Mark said, at the end of the day, you don't have to be a dental or professional expert to identify harmony and whether something looks good or not. And we all know historically, females have got 80% more rods and cones in their eyes than we do. They see color better. They see a lot more detail in color. And they're a lot more perceptive to harmony. I think it's in their nature. So that's a really interesting comment. And I think that was it. So, guys, once again, that was amazing. Mark?
Thank you.
You want to round up today? Thank
you.
Mark, I'm going to leave you to round up today.
Okay, that's very kind. So thank you, Sam. Obviously, for me, I'm so passionate about dentistry, and I'm so passionate about the things that I do. And I'll be honest, that there's some things that have really had a big influence in my very long career. And DSD was one of those things. At the beginning, I agree it was frustrating. We had a laborious time of implementing the ideas. But thanks to that smart guy who lives in Miami, it's really changed everything for us. And DSD is not just drawing lines. It's really now understanding what is possible, in our profession and in a responsible way, and so, as I say, it's Friday. I'm so happy that we've had another week of doing dentistry, which is amazing, with this crazy time that we're in.
Absolutely.
And today I did 3 designs. I showed you some yesterday. You saw how busy I am on that app. And I have to say that really there's very few things in dentistry that really has had such a powerful influence on me personally, and I'm really honest when it comes to this stuff, because I teach it, year in, year out, and we've had the privilege of sharing a workshop together, and it was amazing. And so again, just thanks so much. I have to say my drink's empty, so it's time to. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Marco. Thanks for the invitation. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And to our members and our followers, we'll see you again next week, Friday, same place, same time, and we'll take you somewhere else in the world. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.